Into shallow right field. Mike Trout.
Right, calling off Paris.
And here's a shallow fly ball to Trout.
Ball club.
Veteran player, 30. And the next pitch catching, Soler DHing, and
The last one.
here's his next. No one on, and the 2-strike. What happens on the payoff? And in neck, and he's a right-hander. Here's the next delivery. It's Mickey Monk. That's the first home run that Mac is.
Ball game for the Halos.
So here's the pitch on its way. FanDuel Network. Here's the pitch. Right center field, but this one's going to stay hander. Here's the pitch on its way. Here's one. The Trout pops foul today. Here's the pitch. And the next way. Angels have had.
Give Mike Trout a second.
Diablo 360. So here's the 1-1 pitch. And more of his. Here's the next pitch. And
15 home runs, already 2 today.
almost behind second. Side. Here's the next pitch.
Moncada gets something positive.
Next feedback on the outfield. He's going to bang off the base of the. Here's the pitch.
Yo, he can play in the outfield too.
Next to. Here comes the pitch in front of Tim Anderson. So ready to bat. And the seasons with the Twins.
A few months ago.
Trout is chasing hard. And
transition.
Here's the next Detmer's pitch. The ground chance to maybe double him up. The pitch. A roller hit on the third base side.
That ground ball in that spot's a great sign.
And Outman's in the mix. Here's the next pitch. And the peak at second delivers. Here's the next pitch. Here's the next delivery. Here comes the next one, the 2-strike delivery. 2 the count. Next pitch. Left side, Moncada, the third baseman, has just 2 for 17 at the. And here's the next pitch on Anders. A pitch lines one into center. Here's Paris, who's picked up his hit. 6 hits and 51 times up. And the next delivery, that's it.
Never been over 20.
And here comes the next pitch. I have the University. Here's the pitch. Here's the 1-2. Here's the next pitch. So a single there by.
Well done.
So the lead. Here's the pitch. That's high.
Moniak's proven he can do it.
Neck is set. And here's the next delivery. And here's the pitch. That's low.
It's getting to him a little bit right now, though. And just forget how young Detmers is.
Here. And the next one on 2012. Here's to the Cubs around June of last. Back on it in right field now.
So getting tested all over.
Here's the next delivery.
Because there's a few competitions out there. As the league, Detmers has come back and pitched.
The third, that's stopped there by Moncada. Ready, and here comes the next pitch. It's up in the bullpen for the. Here's the next pitch. Here's the next one. And here's the next one on. And here's the next one. Here's the next pitch. Next pitch.
Regular season appearances in all of last started a World Series game.
Soler, Sun is trying to peak 3-1 here, bottom of the third, and taking on Mariners tomorrow. Here's the next pitch. Here's the batter, and here's the first pitch. Left side in foul territory. Fifth put out of the, and here comes the pitch.
World Series a couple years ago. Leader in baseball.
Here's the reliever. You want to pick his brain. Angels were in the fourth, and here done. And here's the pitch. See if he could pitch. They liked it. Here's the next pitch. That's second stop by Paris. Sets from the out ball. Routine bouncer hits it in one of the pitchers to fairly shallow right center. 8.8 ERA. And here's his next pitch.
In the Angels bullpen, pitched in 22 games that are in there now. And Quijada certainly is 1-2 to Lena. Non-roster invite his pitch. It's this one down the left field line. Chasing out. First batter of the spring.
Didn't miss that one. Trout gave.
Looks like a broken bat, knocked down by out of the lineup. Had to fill in for a bunch of. Head over to Kylan Paris. Takes it off to players that have a lot of versatility.
He's going to be there every day. We'll see.
You can play, the more value you have. 1-2. Bessia gets set. One of the guys able to get him through it. Rodgers had scored a run. They're calling off Bodie. Now Bodie had first pitch to the bench alma mater this offseason.
Where the Dodgers got him a few years ago.
The 0-2. Swinging him in. Swing laced up the middle. Is going to bounce. Pitch on Chris Versation a year ago. Would have been at a third. Mike Trout took him on the field. It just takes a little longer when he's playing. It's something he'd like to clean up. Here comes the pitch. Conforto runs for positioning with a lot of young arms. And then Trout does get there, showing off the wave around third. So much of his game is just... Here's the 2-2 on ball. That time a year ago, 3-2's away. Seth from the stretch to Rosario. 0-1 to Rosario. Gets away. Everybody for Mike Trout. At first base with Ason Kim and Kyle Nevin in right field. Pitch on in left. One pitch, 2 seasons. 1-0. In 2 pitches, gets the ground ball over to third. Jose picks it up
and fouled the first one off, and here's the next one, 2-2. The next one, it's fouled. Here's the pitch. Here's the 2-strike void. Another walk here. The 3-2 in California. Keep that in. And here's the pitch. Visiting Angels.com. Sia was in the KBO. There, he hops one to first ball this Wednesday. Jorge Sevilla, White Sox, and the Mariners. Here's the ball chopped to third, skips up,
and he patrolled that position.
The next one on Paris, he lifts a fly ball. Here's the pitch, and here's the pitch.
UCLA.
He's set. Here's the next pitch. By a couple of runs, a very brief time.
During the summer.
There's Kingery at the 222, and he is ready. And the next ball is carrying, but plays center field for the Angels. Ryan Lugo will have to play it in. Right, that's going to drop in for a hit.
But still said an important depth piece as far
for Kike Hernandez, who had a nice played the Rockies here. Right out towards Kyle Nicaros, and the first pitch. Here's the pitch. One chopped on the right side, right at the spring, has 3 hits. Large majority of them have stuck around. Here's the next pitch. This exercise, walk 2, struck out 2 in it. And here's the next pitch. A little bit, and here's the next delivery. And has a pretty good second round pick of the Dodgers in 2020. Here's the pitch. They're going to allow rushing to Teoscar.
Jansen 2. Strikeout.
Next delivery. He got the bat on the ball and he grounds to the batter. First pitch. That's a broken bat pop right first time up today. And today he did not get back up their sleeves today. It's game between the Angels team, the lefties next pitch. Here's the next pitch. Here's the next one on noted. And here's the next pitch. And 3-2, and it's on its way. Done here to Tempe Diablos. And the pitch. One of the other players, the Angels, gets pitch. A little pop near the short. Here's his pitch. More 316 here in the Cactus. 0-2 pitch. Outside of the infield, the second baseman. Here's the next delivery, and that misses a little bit low. Has a pretty good lead over there at first base, and